In early 2021, this company was worth nearly $50 billion. People were on waitlists just to give them money. 18 months later, the stock had fallen over 90%. The founder was gone and there were layoffs. They were laying off thousands. And the wildest part, they didn't fail because the product got worse. They failed because one decision almost every founder would have made in their shoes. Let me show you exactly what happened. Peloton went public in September of 2019, stock priced at $29, solid debut, nothing crazy. They were a stationary bike company with a screen and a subscription. People kind of got it, kind of didn't. Then March 2020 hit, gyms closed, everyone was stuck at home, and suddenly the most boring product in fitness became the most wanted thing in the internet. Waitlists stretched for months, delivery time stretched longer. The CEO, John Foley, literally couldn't manufacture bikes fast enough. The stock didn't just rise, it exploded. From under $30 to over $160. The company was worth nearly $50 billion at its peak. They were the cultural symbol of pandemic life, the bike in your living room that meant you were handling it. Celebrities were on them, memes were about them, investors couldn't get enough. Peloton looked unstoppable. But the exact thing that made them explode is what nearly killed them. Because here's what Peloton looked at: a demand curve going straight up, bikes selling out faster than they could ship, new subscribers signing on every week, and they made a bet. They decided this wasn't a moment, it was the new normal. So they did what any confident company would do. They went all in on supply. In late 2020, they acquired Precor, a commercial fitness company, for over $400 million. They announced plans for a massive new factory in Ohio, a $400 million investment they called Peloton Output Park. They scaled inventory aggressively, hired thousands of new people, stocked warehouses with bikes for a demand wave they were sure was permanent. The logic made sense, the data backed it up, every consultant in the world would have signed off on it. And then three things happened almost at once. Vaccines rolled out, gyms reopened, and the people who had been desperate to ride a bike in their bedrooms suddenly remembered they could just go outside. Demand didn't slow, it collapsed, but the warehouses were full, the factory plans were locked in, the headcount was up, and Peloton was now bleeding cash trying to support a supply chain built for a world that no longer existed. Then came the gut punches. The Tread Plus was recalled after a child died and dozens were injured. A brutal story that turned into a public relations nightmare. Months later, the show And Just Like That aired a scene where a character literally has a heart attack on a Peloton bike. The internet ran with it for weeks. Then in January 2022, CNBC leaked that Peloton was halting production. The stock crashed again. A few weeks later, John Foley, the founder, the face of the company, stepped down. They brought in Barry McCarthy from Netflix and Spotify to try to save it. They scrapped the Ohio factory. They laid off thousands of people. The stock fell from over $160 to single digit. The nearly $50 billion company was now worth a fraction of that. This left them with one question: is this even fixable? Honestly, 4 years later, the answer is still unclear. Peloton's still here, still selling bikes, still has millions of subscribers, but they're a fraction of what they were, and growth is still hard to come by. So here's the lesson, and it's not the obvious one. The mistake wasn't the product was good. People still love their Pelotons. The mistake wasn't the marketing or the strategy of the brand either. The mistake was treating a spike like a trend. This is the trap every brand that boomed in 2020 walked into. A pandemic isn't a permanent shift in consumer behavior. A viral moment isn't a customer base. A demand surge isn't a forever curve. Every founder who saw 2020 numbers and built a 2025 plan around them is paying for it right now. The lesson isn't don't bet big. It's check what your data actually means before you bet big on it. Is this a wave or is this the tide? Because if you get that wrong, and Peloton got it spectacularly wrong, no amount of operational excellence will save you. Peloton didn't lose because they were lazy, they lost because they were too confident in numbers that weren't going to hold. And that's the thing nobody tells you about scaling. If you want to tell a story like this on your website to sell your product, check out Harloop.